The next offensive player we're probably going to hear from LSU get their name called, that's going to be wide receiver Justin Jefferson, most likely. He finds himself in nearly every top 5 list of any kind of respectable person. I know Dane Brugler for The Athletic, the guy that we lean on the most for our pre-draft coverage, has him clocking at number 4 on his list. What do you see Jefferson bringing to the table, and what do you consider kind of his ideal landing spot in the NFL level?
Yeah, I mean, so he's a guy who, it's funny because obviously he had 111 catches this past season as kind of a true slot receiver, and he thrived. And I think that's the best role for him. I'm not arguing that. I think that's where he'll thrive in the NFL. He's an elite route runner. I think the thing that, I remember Jerry Sullivan, the old NFL coach who worked with LSU for a while, the thing he always talked about was, he's not necessarily like a burner fast, even though he had a pretty good 40, so I think that puts some doubts at ease. But the thing about him is he gets to full speed by the third step. And I think that's what Jerry Sullivan always talks about, which is such a big thing with receivers, of course. And it kind of goes back to the arm strength thing, right? As much as we talk about you want a big arm and as much as we talk about speed, I think sometimes accelerating quickly, it might be more important for a receiver than speed sometimes. But anyway, so I think he's obviously good at that. But it's also worth remembering in 2018, he was the number 1 receiver by far. And he played more of that outside number 1 target, big play guy. So I just think that's worth mentioning. His versatility is that he was a guy who was double covered almost every game in 2018 and got all the targets. And I want to say he had 2.5 times as many targets as the next guy. So, I mean, which also shows you how much of a mess that 2018 offense was, but still. Yeah, so I think that's kind of what I'd say about Jefferson is that he's more versatile than I think he gets credit for. I think the Oklahoma game against LSU shows that was the one game where he had, I think, 250 yards and like 200 and a half, and he was showing that he could be that deep threat and all those things. So I think he's a really tough player. He's actually a better blocker than you would think for somebody who looks kind of slight. I mean, he's actually a really good blocker. So when you talk about fit, I think the best landing spot, I don't know if there's any specific teams I'll mention or anything like that, but I just can't help but think he's a guy who can be a security blanket for a quarterback, right? He's a guy who can just you can be your most trusted guy on the field that, hey, even if it's just that 8-yard gain, you can trust him. He's not afraid to take a hit in the middle. He's got really good hands. He's a great route runner, so you trust him. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess he could be used in a lot of ways. I'm sure it'd be great help for a rookie quarterback or something like that who needs someone they can just trust. But at the same time, you see a lot of things of like linking him to the Saints, for example. And like, can you imagine with a Mike Thomas on the outside or wherever they line him up, having Brees having one more sure thing target? I think him going to a team that's already established, I think he would thrive there because he's pretty pro ready.
I'm hoping that's after everything you described there. I'm hoping it's New England again as a Patriots fan, just because we have a pretty lack of receiving weaponry there, and then you move him all over the place. Belichick,
there,
yeah, he'd have a field day with his versatility, the slot ability there. I hope it's us, but those are often the rookies, especially at wide receiver, you see translate faster is those high possession, security type blanket guys. So, right away, obviously we can't really project his fantasy upside till we know where he's going, but that skill set often plays into the rookies that break out much sooner than later. So I'm hoping that that's the case for Jefferson. He lands in the right spot. Another Fantasy Wolf. If you haven't already, share your thoughts, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.